Another mate. Mate was in the car, copper was driving. Mate's in the passenger seat wearing his police leather jacket. And, gets pulled over. Jumps out of the car, runs up to the cop car. Next thing you know, the copper jumps into the back seat. Police officer jumps into the front seat of the car. Drives them all the way in, gets them home, drops them off, gets out of the car and says, "You know you shouldn't be drinking and driving," and walks off. Turns out what he did was he walked up and he said, "Hey mate, I'm on the job and I'm smashed." So, a little while ago I got pulled over, 0.08 on the side of the road, and I said to the officer, I said, "Have you been drinking?" He said, "Yeah mate, I had 3 beers last night, a bottle of wine. Went into the city, picked up a girlfriend of mine." I said, "I've gone into the city, from Strathfield to the city, went over to Five Dog, dropped one of the girls off, dropped another girl off, came here, not my normal route, he pulled me over." He goes, "Okay, we're going to have to take you down the station to charge you." I said, "No problems at all." Got in the car and I just said to him, "Mate, do I look like I'm pissed?" And he said, "No, you don't." I said, "Well, why are you charging me for drink driving?" Conversation on the way, explained how a mate of mine with a F-boss machine. Mentioned that I had a couple of mates on the job, and guy was decent about it. Went down the station. At one point we got down to the station, and he says, "Oh, look mate, the room's full." "Okay, no worries." He goes, "Just sit over there and wait." I went over, sat down, waited, and waited, and waited. Mind you, I had to ring my boss and let him know that, hey, I was opening up, but I've been pulled over, DUI. Boss came in, opened up. Sitting down, talking to the coppers, they take me into the room, and there was no one in the room. I'm pretty sure they just sort of took their time. I ended up blowing 0.067. Now, during this time, when I got pulled over, I had a coffee, McDonald's coffee. And the police officer said to me, you cannot drink that anymore." I said, "Mate, it's coffee." He says, "Now that we've pulled you over, you are not allowed to drink anything at all till we breathalyse you." I'm like, "Okay, fair enough." Left a full coffee, right? At one point we're sitting down, takes me into the room, and he says, "By the way, this is the F-boss machine." Cool. He then reads it off the computer screen. "Have you had anything to drink since the police officers have arrested you and pulled you over?" And I very politely said to this guy, don't want to be a smart-ass, mate, but is that the stupidest question you've ever asked me, or asked anyone? And he looked at the screen, read it, and went, "Oh my God, I see your point." At one point, the copper said to me, "Herbie, why are you tinting cars? You should be a lawyer. You'd be bloody good at it." I then blew 0.067. Turns out I blew 0.08 on the side of the road, but they were nice to me. They were coppers. I then turned around to the copper and says, "Mate, I'm running late for work. Any chance I can get a lift back to my car?" And he looks at me and says, "Herbie, you're over the limit." I'm like, "Oh shit. Any chance I can get a lift back to work?" He said, "Yeah, no worries, Herbie." He said, "Herbie, there's no question of your character. You're a nice guy. You've just blown over." I got to work, apologised to the copper for the inconvenience, and said, "Thank you very much. You've been very decent." Went into work. As my boss has walked down the stairs, he hadn't seen that I'd come in. The coppers had got everything out of the boot to put back into the car. My boss has said, "What? Was he a trouble?" The copper said, "No, he was a perfect gentleman." A couple of weeks later, one of the boys comes into work and says, "Herb, someone here to see you." I'm like, "Is he wearing blue?" He says, "As a matter of fact, he is." So I went out, there's the arresting officer, and he says, "Here's your court papers, yada yada yada." And I said, "I've already gone to see a lawyer, but the lawyer reckons that I'm more intelligent than her and that I should go and defend myself." And he said, "Herbie, I believe you. I reckon you're more intelligent than me, which is why I've written in your police report, the accused did not appear to be affected by alcohol." So that helped in my court statement. I went and I defended myself, and basically it comes down to this. I got a section 10. No charges, no court fees, because I wrote in my report to the judge. Well, firstly, when I went in, I said, "I'm guilty of 0.067, but not guilty of intoxication." This confused the hell out of it. This guy, he's reached over, grabbed my paperwork and ran off into the court. I then walked in and got called up, And it turns out that that guy that grabbed the paperwork was a prosecutor. And he said, this gentleman here, Your Honour, is pleading guilty to .067 but not guilty of intoxication. Judge just looked up. Excuse me? And I said, I'm here to defend myself. And he said, have you got legal representation? I said, yeah, I spoke to a lawyer, but they said I should come and defend myself because I'm more intelligent than her. Court adjourned. I had 3 weeks. So I had to go back again. Then when I presented my statement to the court, that I even presented a letter from the licensee of my local club stating that at no time I'd ever been refused service. I had my RSA, so I am licensed to serve alcohol. At no point was I intoxicated, and had never been intoxicated at this club. They then put forward, I then put forward in my statement to the judge, Santa, please define good. Your Honour, please define intoxicated. They couldn't. Eventually, I got no fine, no nothing, no conviction. I got a 6-month bond. Or 6-month good behaviour period. Now, I'm not advocating go out there and get drunk and drive. If you drink drive, you're an idiot. It's a freaking laundry powder. Now, the fact is, I can drink 2 bottles of wine and you wouldn't even know I'm intoxicated or not intoxicated. I can have a conversation with you about science, mathematics, religion, you name it, and I don't get intoxicated. Now, one night I was out with my girlfriend. We were watching a show called Random Breath Test, RBT. And there was a guy gone over a gutter, down a ditch, into a tree, and this guy was sitting there. I said, mate, that guy smashed through the book out. His blood alcohol content was .067, the same as mine. Yet there was a particular time we do work for a guy, and he does random drug tests and random alcohol tests. And I asked him a question. I said, mate, can you work this out for me? I said, 8 beers and 2 bottles of wine. He goes, holy crap. Okay, I'll better get my laptop. Pulls out his laptop. He said, Jesus Christ, you'd be .4. You'd be clinically dead. And I looked at him, and he said, when did you do that? I said, 4 nights a week. At the time, I'd held down a job for 4 years. So, I can drink like a fish, but I don't get intoxicated. I don't get aggro. I don't get violent. I can walk through a nightclub, basically walk through, not get harassed or assaulted. Basically, I just walk through, the hand on the shoulder. Excuse me, buddy. Excuse me, buddy. Excuse me, buddy. No problems at all. At one point, I was at a club, or a pub rather, and guy was giving me a bit of grief, being a bit of a smart ass. I picked up 2 schooners and said, mate, you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? So, ended up having a drink. One night I upset a guy, and he basically wanted to take me on. And long story short, he wanted to take me outside. I didn't want to go outside. He came back and says, I want to deal with this. I said, well, fucking hit me then. So he did. Righto, I'm going to clean up a basket. The next week he walked in and said, Herbie, you're actually a really nice guy. I feel like a cunt. Bought me a beer, went outside, had a chat, ended up drinking with the guy. He was actually a bloody nice guy. Felt like brick shit outside. But yeah, he hit me pretty hard that night. I think one night he went to get some money, debt collected. And luckily it was on the phone, because he had his phone up to his ear as the guy pulled a shotgun on him and blew away the meat of his arm. Very nice guy. So, remember, don't pick fights. Don't pick a fight. But if someone picks a fight with you, end it. But try to do it passively. So, we're going to go on to all sorts of subjects like bullies, how to handle bullies, and the sort of bullies that have tried to push me around. And I'm telling you right now, the biggest bully in my life was my mother, my very own mother. When I missed my father and ran away from home to be with him, I was declared an uncontrollable child at Raymond Police Station. And when it boils down to it, my mother was such an evil, evil, evil woman that I literally have visions of my mother sitting on Satan's throne. I swear, if Satan did exist, he would be so pissed right now because my mother would have him on the shortest leash possible. I have visions of my mother sitting there saying, Satan, give me drinks now. She was a total bitch. But just remember, most coppers are pretty decent, and they actually are there to protect and serve us.